So as I'm sure you are all aware by now, the new Age of Empires 4 new DLC, Dynasties of the East, has just been announced, and there are 4 variant civilizations. Today's video will be covering the Macedonian Dynasty. So the Macedonian Dynasty in Age of Empires 4 all starts off with Basil I in 867, where warriors known as the Varangians or Varangians, I'm not actually too sure how to pronounce it, let me know in the comment section below. Either way, they filled the ranks of the Byzantine armies as mercenaries. Concerned of revolts from within, his son, Basil II, recognized the unwavering loyalty of the Varangians and formed the first Imperial Guard around 988, raising the dynasty to its greatest heights before his death in 1025. The Macedonian dynasty reinforces their front lines with an expanded roster of fearsome Varangian warriors from the north, raise victorious runestones, replace fallen warriors at the war camp, and improve weapons and armor by spending silver at the arsenal. Command large armies of tenacious warriors to protect the emperor and carve out your own history. Very interesting stuff, and you'll also be able to see some finer details already being mentioned in the writing in bold, specifically the ability to drop down runestones, replace fallen warriors at the war camp, and improve weapons using silver, a new resource in Age of Empires 4 for the Macedonian Dynasty. Now, playing as the Macedonian Dynasty, your villagers will discover abundant silver deposits as they mine gold and stone. This 5th resource can be used for researching unique technologies at the new Varangian arsenal. With arms and armor paid with silver, the mighty Varangian warriors step forth onto the battlefield from their fortified strongholds. As losses from the combats begin to pile up, construct the Varangian war camp and receive free reinforcements of Varangians from distant lands. Command 3 new Varangian units and leverage their unique berserk abilities, carve legendary runestones to celebrate past victories in battle, inspiring them to fight harder while protecting the Empire. Now with all of this, we've got some really good sneak peeks at the details for the Macedonian Dynasty, but things are going to get even more clearer. Let's take a look at some of the units. So full disclosure, I'm not particularly aware how to pronounce these names. I'm sure someone will point it out to me how to do it, but for now, we're going to start off with the Aoe4. It's a light melee Varangian infantry that become more tenacious when fighting alongside Varangian units with their passive berserk ability. Kind of interesting because it does have the vibes of the Honor Brigatia, especially in terms of the way that they look, but interestingly also, they will be having a bonus when fighting alongside Varangian units, and so having them in a mixed army composition could be pretty important. The Macedonian Dynasty will also have the Bogmaor, a light-ranged Varangian infantry with an ability that steadies their bow in the midst of battle to penetrate armor weak points. Another very interesting unit, a light unit and a ranged one, which looks like it will have an activatable ability that will give them a bonus attack maybe against heavily armored units, for instance lancers, knights, man-at-arms. Could be useful in a pinch and kind of bridges the gaps between the archer and the crossbow unit. Next up, we have the Ridari, a heavy melee Varangian cavalry capable of throwing axes from afar, causing devastating damage before engaging in close quarters. A new mechanic, well, relatively new because we did have this in the Knights of Cross and Rose DLC with the Sergeant for the Knights Templar. All a bit different though because the Ridari are on horseback, certainly an interesting adaptation of that unit, and it's coming for the Macedonian Dynasty. It's great that they'll get their first hit. What I'm curious to see is exactly how it engages in this particular image with the spearmen. When they brace, some of them may perish to the Ridari throwing axes. Now moving on to what looks to be a completely new game mechanic for Age of Empires 4, we have runestones. Commemorate voyages to the east and past victories in battle by carving runestones with any Varangian unit when enough enemies have suffered their blades. A very curious game mechanic, a mechanic which can mean that you do not die instantly after losing a big battle, a almost comeback mechanic, or at least die slower mechanic. Curious to see how this plays out in multiplayer games and how painful it will be when you've just won a fight and then you're facing up another bunch of units very quickly from the Macedonian Dynasty. Now next up, we have a special technology for the Macedonian Dynasty, Rhompfire Swords technology. Known to adapt to local weaponry, Varangian guards and Ridari can equip Rhompfire to meet the needs of war. What those needs might be, and what type of a weaponry this might be as well, I'm not too sure, but it's curious to say the least. Now, the last detail in this little mini section about the Macedonian Dynasty is with regards to the Varangian arsenal. Now, actually what that includes, I'm not too sure, because it looks like they've accidentally just copied and pasted the details from the Rhompfire Swords technology. Nevertheless, considering the image, it looks like it's to do with spending silver, and we do know they have a new building which has upgrades for the Dynasty units. I suspect this arsenal is going to contain unique technologies to boost the army. From Age 1 and the beginning of any Age of Empires 4 game, the Macedonian Dynasty discovers abundant deposits of silver at gold veins and stone outcroppings, and their villagers set the stage for refinement at mining camps, creating silver deposits that can be accessed for the rest of the game. Silver is a unique resource used to research special technologies across the civilization. Varangian strongholds replace the barracks and are capable of defending the area and fielding all types of Varangian units as you advance through the ages, including the early Varangian Guard. So there we have it, we've got the early Varangian Guard in the Dark Age, but also very interestingly enough, the Varangian strongholds are essentially the barracks replacement, but they are also capable of defending the area. Makes me wonder, do they have some sort of arrow slits? Are they some kind of outpost including building, I guess? Although it's a bit awkward because I do see that there is an outpost in this image, which suggests that they get that as well. Curious to see how that pans out. What could potentially be the case is that the strongholds not only replace the barracks, but maybe they replace the archery range and the stable as well, given how big they are and how they look to include elements of the archery range and even like the stable feeding grounds. In Age 2, the Macedonian Dynasty can construct the Varangian arsenal next to mining camps to begin generating passive silver. Arsenal technologies combine both blacksmith and university upgrades into one, and are capable of exceeding the military power of other civilizations in each age. What's super exciting about this is, well, is another passive mechanic of generating resources, but also the fact that you can potentially get university upgrades in Age 2. That's going to be a big power spike. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to get the Imperial Age biology technology, for example, in Age 2 for the Macedonian Dynasty. I would imagine not, but maybe you could, and considering how expensive it is, perhaps it's unlikely to be able to afford it that early. Either way, interesting concepts for sure, but that's not it, because in Age 2, prepare your northern reinforcements by finding a suitable location for the Varangian war camp to avenge any units lost in battle. If the camp is placed near to water, ships may also be selected as reinforcements. Very interesting, so when you do lose units as the Macedonian Dynasty, you can actually call some back to avenge yourself when you lose certain battles. In Age 3, or the Castle Age, you can make the Varangian Ridari from the Varangian stronghold or stable. What's curious about this is that I came under the impression that the stronghold would replace the barracks. In fact, we know it will, but I was also thinking it would replace the archery range and the stable. Perhaps you can still make the stronghold and the individual barracks, archery range and stable. Perhaps the stronghold is a lot more expensive and therefore gives you the flexibility. Either way, in Age 3, you can check on the Varangian war camp, as all reinforcements are available to be chosen to fit the Empire's needs. It looks like you could maybe have some sort of ticket system where you pay a higher ticket price for certain types of units from the war camps. Of course, nothing confirmed just yet. Now last but not least for the Macedonian Dynasty, you advance to the Imperial Age and spend silver at the Palatine School to train cataphracts in bulk, or choose the Foreign Engineering Company and use silver to hire mercenary siege engines. Research Roman fire at the Siege Workshop, granting Springalds a fiery bolt that explodes on impact, causing devastating area effect damage over time. Interesting choices. You got the Imperial Age landmarks the same as the Byzantines, but here, instead of transitioning and spending olive oil, you can spend your silver. Very curious though are the new Springalds. I mean, we went through a very weird time with Age of Empires 4 when we were going mass Springalds to kill everything, and maybe that's going to just continue with the Macedonians. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deep dive into the Macedonian Dynasty civilization, and I certainly am super excited for this, looking forward to playing the new DLC. If you've enjoyed the content today, make sure that you are subscribed, more importantly that you hit the notification bell, because I will be releasing videos about all the other civilizations in this new DLC. In fact, you can probably see the next civilization by clicking on the end card on your screen right now. Take care, and see you next time.